Quinn here with SEO Works, and in this video we're going to talk about what is technical SEO. Now, technical SEO is one of the three main pillars of SEO. Now, if you haven't had a chance to watch our video on what is SEO, where we go over high-level components of SEO, we encourage you to take a look over there before diving in with us here. As I mentioned in that video, there are three main pillars to SEO: on-page SEO, off-page SEO, and technical SEO. If you haven't had a chance to watch our videos on-page SEO and off-page SEO, I encourage you to take a look at those as well. All right, so let's jump in. You might be looking for technical SEO wins that you can implement on your site right now. Well, you've come to the right place. While technical SEO is, well, the most technical, we certainly want to give you a handful of items that you can start your research and start implementing on your site today. You should know, technical SEO is not the pillar you should be starting with if you're just starting out with SEO. We encourage all newbies to jump over to on-page SEO and start there. Okay, so here's what you can expect from this video. We're going to talk about what is technical SEO, how can you implement technical SEO on your site today, what are some tools that you can use to help you with your technical SEO, and what are some things that should just be left up to the experts. So what is technical SEO? In its simplest form, technical SEO is the optimizing of the part of the site that no one really sees, the machine that makes your site work, the technical stack and its various components that largely impact the way a user interacts with your site and the way the bots crawl your site in order to understand it and index it. While it is not a prerequisite for an SEO to be a developer to be successful, a skilled SEO will be familiar and certainly more successful if skilled with certain back-end and front-end developing languages, such as HTML, JavaScript, CSS, PHP, and MySQL. Technical SEO, like other areas of SEO, is always changing and always growing. We simply can't talk about all things that are technical SEO in this video. So we encourage you to continue following us for subsequent videos that we're producing on individual components of technical SEO. Because technical SEO is so vast, we've tried to take all the items that make up technical SEO in our eyes and categorize them into 8 main sections. We're definitely interested for those that are watching to comment how they believe technical SEO might be different or how else it might be categorized. These 8 main sections for us are functionality, performance, user experience, site architecture, mobile, images, international, and tagging. So let's go through these 8 main areas to give you a rough idea of what they are compiled of and how you can start working on them today. First, functionality. Functionality refers to status codes or response codes, as well as redirect loops and hops, broken links internally and externally. Essentially, it is looking at the functionality of all the pages and all the elements on your site. Are there server errors on your pages? Are old pages removed or redirected appropriately? And so on. Second, performance. Performance suggests that your site works as intended with the functionality, but does so efficiently. This includes your core web vitals, site speed, reduced code, removal of unused code, time to first paint, time to first interactive, accessibility. Essentially, even 1 second of time can increase your bounce rate dramatically, ultimately resulting in massive impacts to your conversion rates and organic presence. Third, user experience. Hand in hand with performance is how a user experience or interacts with your site. This means we want to have our URLs short and include the targeted primary keyword, making your primary calls to action very clear on page, installing heat maps in order to record user pathing, making your content easy to access and to share, customizing your 404 page, and the list goes on. Fourth, architecture. Site architecture may be one of the most important, robust, and difficult areas of technical SEO for you to implement for your site, as it requires a lot of forethought before you build a site, or likely for the many sites that already exist, a lot of work to get it to the right place. We talked briefly about site hierarchy in on-page SEO, as it helps aid you in grouping thematic keywords as well as understanding how to segment your site out for your content calendar. architecture is ultimately concerned that you are utilizing your limited crawl budget in an efficient way, ensuring that your internal linking structure is representative of themes as well as stages in your funnel, and ensuring that your sitemaps are representative of that and that they are appropriately submitted. Site architecture is also interested in addressing variations in URLs, your URL structure in general, breadcrumbs, prioritization, orphaned and zombie pages. The list is quite extensive. Take a look at these images. One shows URLs outside of 12 clicks from the index page, meaning no one is navigating to these pages, which also means that Google isn't prioritizing them. This ultimately means that traffic is not getting to these pages, which is a spiral. No traffic, no rank, no rank, no traffic, and ultimately providing no value. You'll see in that same image that some URLs are being found from parent pages that are preceding their URLs that are no index, no follow. You'll note that in this image there is very little organization to the site, which makes it difficult for Google to understand which pages are important and which pages should rank for particular keywords. If you looked at the URL structure of these URLs as well, you would find that they are not representative of parent and child relationships. In the second image, you'll see organization by category and type, parent pages equally distributing link equity to their child pages, and that no page is outside 4 clicks from the index, and that all of them are being found from indexable pages. It's easy for Google to see which pages are most important and ultimately easier for you to do audits in the future. Number 5, mobile. The mobile section of technical SEO is primarily interested that you are rendering and serving up pages for mobile users. Because of Google's mobile first index rollout, all of our pages now are being looked at the mobile version first to index it. So you have to ask yourself, is your site mobile friendly? Which comes with a laundry list of items in and of itself. Are there proper redirections from your desktop and your mobile versions to each other? Do you have mobile only 404s? And so on. Number 6, images. Images are all over your site and can ultimately make or break the performance of any given page. So you might ask yourself, are your images searchable by utilizing the alt text tag that ought to be utilizing the primary targeted keyword for that given page? Are your images condensed and optimized for easy loading? Are they hosted on the same domain as your site? And so on. Number 7, international. Now you may not have an international strategy, but there are certainly many sites that do that run into these issues. Are you putting out content for different languages or possibly different countries in the same language? If so, are you appropriately using hreflang tags as well as ensuring that your content is indexable for those other geolocations? Duplicate content is often an issue for international SEO strategies. And finally, number 8, tagging. Tagging includes, but is not limited to, your robots.txt file or the robots.txt per page that tells a search engine whether or not to crawl that page, your index follow tags, your rel or rel tags, canonical tags, and other tags. Essentially, are we telling Google and other search engines which pages are important, which are related to each other, and which are no longer valuable and ought to exist on our site? Like I said, the list is long and it often feels endless because it's always growing. So that brings us to, what can you do now to impact your technical SEO? Well, for starters, we just went over a slew of items that you can go back, look at, and start researching into. We're in the midst of producing lots of videos around individual components of each area of SEO. As always, the purpose of these videos for us are to provide value to our users, as well as to show you that we know what we're talking about and we have experience doing it and seeing results from implementing these strategies. Hopefully, we can inspire you to make changes for yourself or ultimately hire out a team of experts to take it on for you and make it work. Because the truth is, there is a lot of work and a lot of your work is at stake. That being said, here are 3 action items that you can take away right now. 1, like I just said, go back in this video and identify 1, 2, or 3 of the components that we talked about. Do a little research and identify how your site is performing in these areas. Then you can move forward and try to implement some optimizations on your own. Number 2, start with a couple key audits that will help you identify some items that you can optimize. We're just about to go over some tools that can help you with this, but for starters, do a screaming frog crawl or a Google Lighthouse audit, and then dive into the data. Address your 500 and 400 status codes first. Why are you having server errors? Why are pages not functioning correctly? Why are they not serving up or rendering correctly? Are you only redirecting when necessary? Essentially, check all your links to make sure that they are going to where they should go, and if not, that they only go through one redirect if necessary. Number 3, look at your site hierarchy, your URL structure, and your internal linking structure. Get it cleaned up so that your navigation reflects the importance of the pages and the categories that are across your site. Ensure that parent pages are equally leaking out to all their relevant child pages. And triple check that you're not rendering multiple versions of the same page with different URLs. Also, check to make sure that you're not indexing supplementary pages on your site. Okay, so what are some quick tools that you can use to help you with technical SEO? As I've mentioned before, an SEO's tool belt is often indicative to how good they can do SEO and how successful they'll be. Anybody looking to do SEO should invest some time and possibly some funds into the following: Screaming Frog Log File Analyzer, Google PageSpeed Insights, Portent's Rain Gauge, Siteliner, Schema Markup Generator, Structured Data Testing Tool, GT Metrics Website Speed and Performance, Schema.org, and the list goes on. There are also a handful of plugins that you can utilize in Google Chrome and I'm sure across other browsers, such as Google Tag Assistant, Web Developer, Redirect Path, Page Load Time, and What Runs. And 2 tools that I will mention for all 3 areas of SEO that certainly anybody trying to do SEO should become familiar with and ultimately be an expert in: Screaming Frog and Google Analytics. Honestly, there's so much more, but I would not try technical SEO without these tools. Which brings us to our last point. What can you do and what should be left up to the experts? Ultimately, it's true. This is the hardest area of SEO, and because of that, it's often seen as the most important and possibly carrying the most risk. The bottom line is, there is no one area of SEO that is more important than the others, but certainly you're not going to get very far without tackling technical SEO on your site. As always, we want people watching our videos to feel empowered to go out and do, to spark conversation, and to learn together. We do not want to scare you. However, there are wrong ways to go about this, which is why we have a job. We want to show you that not only do we know about these things, but we're really good at implementing them, and we see results for doing it. At this point, you have some options. You can go back and implement some things on your own. You can identify and do some more research on your own, and depending on time and your capabilities, you might be able to find some success on your own. However, if you're caught at a crossroads and you're not sure which way to go, as always, we have a completely free, no strings attached SEO analysis that will get you a really good understanding of where you're at with your site today. We hope you go down the thought process that over 500 small and large businesses have already made and decide to hire out a team of experts, saving you time, frustration, and ultimately money that far outweighs the competitive no contract premiums that we offer here at SEO Works. So there you have it. As promised, we dove into technical SEO. As I mentioned, watch for subsequent videos where we'll come out and go into specific components of technical SEO and other areas of SEO. We wish you luck. And as always, we encourage you to like and subscribe to stay up on the latest on all things SEO. Because let's be honest, SEO works.